using 95% less water and no pesticides.
Wow, so this really came from out of a classroom type project, right?
Yeah, the inspiration definitely came from that.
That's really phenomenal. So explain the specific innovation behind helioponics.
Well, the biggest problem in the indoor agriculture space is the inefficiency of energy.
Okay.
It's incredibly expensive to run the grow lights, as well as a multi-million-dollar facility that needs to be built just to grow this food. So we realized the application of the technology was not right, that a decentralized approach of building thousands of appliances inside of consumers' homes was a much more efficient application of the technology and the energy. And through our design, we're actually able to yield more produce with less energy.
So this deals in the area of hydroponics. Can you explain to the audience what hydroponics really is?
So you use no dirt at all. You recycle just a nutrient-rich water constantly over the root structure itself, so the plants uptake all of the essential nutrients they need without any excessive amounts of water that are otherwise lost through runoff and field applications.
Fantastic. So what's the potential market for this innovation? What do you think?
Ultimately I envision this being in every home in the world, being a common appliance, but initially we're focusing on organic consumers. So really think of these people living in organic environments, typically in coastal cities that want fresher, tastier food, but don't have the time, the labor to give, or even the space or climate to farm.
Yeah. What kinds of foods can they develop from this?
So primarily leafy greens, that's our bread and butter, but you can also do a lot of herb varieties and even some fruiting varieties such as cherry tomatoes or strawberries in our system.
Very good. Wow. So have you received any capital funding at this stage?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to have some victories through the business plan competitions at Purdue and a number of other universities in the Midwest, but our most sizable capital investments have been from the Purdue Research Foundation through their Accelerator Fund and also the Elevate Ventures Black Award.
And Gary mentioned you're going to do a crowdfunding campaign, is that correct?
Absolutely. We've been working pretty extensively with the Purdue Westgate location in Crane, Indiana for that.
Very good, very good. What do you see as the growth potential for this, Scott?
Ultimately, I see us becoming the world's largest farming company without owning a single acre of land.
No kidding.
Only through this design do we have the possibility of causing the same disruption in the agricultural industry as the refrigerator in the ice industry.
Wow. And I understand you've got patent protection on this. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So we have multiple international patents currently pending on this, as well as many more to be filed.
That is fantastic. So what do you see your next steps in the year to come, this very next year?
Right now, we're currently expanding ways to expand our production, to increase volume, decrease the retail cost to make this a more obtainable device for consumers to have, and also to increase the production and automation of our seed pods, which we sell as a subscription to the users and is actually able to yield a full head of leafy greens on a daily basis for someone who owns a Heloponics grow pod.
Boy, that is really great. Well, on each and every show, Scott, I try to give Dr. Case prescriptions to try to help you out a little bit. So I came up with what I call for you the 3 knowledge factors. The first one I put down was knowledge for the public. In other words, as you're explaining this now and explaining very well, you've got to get other information outlets to help consumers understand how this technology really enhances their hydroponic growing experience. And I think the more they understand it, the better. The second I put was knowledge in the industry. And what I mean by that is you need to get some expertise of those that can help you find distribution to scale up this whole operation to get to the goal that you're setting for yourself.
Absolutely.
And the third knowledge is knowledge with investors. And what I mean by that is, and I'm sure you're getting advice on this, is get some experienced investors that understand what we call smart money to help you understand the whole food space, and they can help you really grow this unique venture.
Right.
So I hope those 3 things really help you, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And where can the audience find you, Scott?
So you can find out lots of information at heloponics.com. That's HELIPONIX.com.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, Gary. A phenomenal innovation in this food space that is being developed right here in the state of Indiana. Back to you, Gary.
All right, Dr. K, thank you. Well, the Metropolitan School District of Decatur Township and Course Networking are teaming up to provide students with innovative technology that can help prepare them for future employment opportunities. The CN ePortfolio is a virtual tool that houses a student's projects, certifications, achievement badges, professional recommendations, and more. Course Networking CEO Ali Jafari and MSD of Decatur Township Assistant Superintendent Nate Davis are here now with more on the technology that is expected to not only streamline the interview process, but searching for a job as well. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Ali, I'm going to start with you. Give us the idea in a nutshell. You're talking about CN ePortfolios becoming the next kind of LinkedIn for young people looking for jobs, right?
Yeah, the concept is very simple. Imagine that kids getting to elementary school, we give them a, let's call it a personal website that they would own it, but that they can constantly collect their learning outcomes, the paper that they have written, the project, putting it in that website. When they go to the next school, they would own it. They package it when they are ready to go to colleges or when they are going to the job market. So you can imagine that an elementary student has a page like LinkedIn, which has got a URL and would represent the student.
Importantly, this is for life. The student takes this portfolio, if you will, all the way through their professional careers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nate, as we were talking off camera, the three of us, kind of the line was a diploma and a transcript aren't enough yet. Decatur Township, one of 6 school districts in partnership on this project now. Talk about why this interested you so much.
Yeah, Gary, like you mentioned, I think that diploma and a transcript is no longer enough. Yeah. And so we really want to link our students with high wage, high demand industries and occupations. We feel that this e-portfolio really meets the needs of the new Indiana graduation pathways, and will allow us to progress monitor, as well as being able to really have students highlight their evidence of what they can do and their skills.
Talk about how specifically how it works, because students in your district, in Decatur Township, and the 5 other systems, basically you're talking elementary students as well as high school students, right?
Absolutely. We feel that students being able to provide evidence of what they've done at a young age and being able to show growth over time is a critical attribute of the e-portfolio. So as students get older, they'll be able to obviously put artifacts and be able to upload multimedia projects. Whatever they choose to be able to put into their e-portfolio, they can put it in there.
And so something they can show coming out of high school, let's say, either to a college or potential college, or going right into the workforce, whatever the case might be.
Absolutely. As we know today, in today's day and age, not every student needs a bachelor's degree. So some of these high wage, high demand areas, students can use this e-portfolio to highlight their skills and their competencies.
Yeah. Ali, talk about this. I know you're excited about this company. You're a serial entrepreneur. You've had a number of successful companies, Angel Learning among them, wildly successful. Talk about the potential that you see for CN e-portfolio. How big do you think this could become?
Well, honestly, I believe the potential is even bigger than LinkedIn. Because, you know, LinkedIn is professional website only for the professional. But here we are talking about an academic website for every student.
Wow.
And we are talking about from elementary school to graduate school to postdoctorate. And so you know how many millions, hundreds of millions of people are in this market.
Yeah. What's next as we wrap up? Where do things go from here? You've got this partnership. I know you're talking in partnership with the Indiana Department of Workforce Development, Department of Ed. Where do things go from here?
Well, honestly, our goal is to come up with a business plan that can provide e-portfolio for every Hoosier. And if we succeed with this project, so that could be implemented in other states and other countries, and then before you know it, you have something like LinkedIn. And so everybody has a professional website. They will take it with them. It doesn't matter if they are going from Decatur to IU or going to from Decatur to a university in Malaysia.
Very good. CN e-portfolio, potentially bigger than LinkedIn. We'll see how this plays out, but innovation and education happening right here in Indiana. Ali Jafari is the CEO of Course Networking, and also Nate Davis, Assistant Superintendent at Decatur Township Schools. Thanks for joining us. We'll definitely follow up on this story going forward.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, a reminder, all of our Eye on Education segments can be found at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. If you have an interesting story idea, please send it to segment producer Tara Twig at ttwig@growindiana.net. Well, still ahead, executives from KSM Location Advisors are here to talk about the highlights and perhaps some of those missed opportunities from the Indiana General Assembly. But first, Butler University and Highland Country Club opened a $1.6 million state-of-the-art indoor golf facility. Bill Benner and head golf professional Bill Pollard explain how Butler is using the center and how the First Tee program and Highlands Foundation will help children learn to play golf. That's next. Well, the late arrival of spring weather is frustrating to many of us, especially golfers. But for Highland Country Club and Butler University's men's and women's teams, they now don't have to wait for warmth and sunshine. Bill Benner has more on this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill?
Gary, thanks. Indeed, Butler and Highland have collaborated for a unique 30-year partnership that already has begun with the ribbon cutting on the new $1.6 million Highland Golf Academy, a 9,200 square foot state-of-the-art indoor facility that not only solidifies Highland as the home of Butler's golf teams, but offers unlimited potential that can grow the game among Indianapolis youth. And joining us today to discuss the academy is Highland head professional Bill Pollard. And Bill, welcome to the program. Great to have you on. Great to get you out of the cold weather. The genesis of this project actually began with kind of a strategic plan. Highland was maybe looking to differentiate itself from some other clubs.
That's exactly right. So, Highland, we were founded in 1919, so we're 99 years old, and as preparation for our centennial and our 100th anniversary, we entered into kind of a strategic planning mode, trying to figure out a lot of different things, how we wanted to position ourselves for the next 100 years. And this had been kind of an idea of ours for the past few years, and when we went into that strategic plan, one of the ideas that came out of that was to try to differentiate ourselves and do something a little different. And so from that point on, we were full steam ahead, and we met with Butler and formed that partnership, and now we're off and running.
30-year agreement with Butler. Talk about just looking and some of the features. If you're a golfer, this is a fantastic indoor facility. Talk about some of the features.
It really is. So the building is 9,200 square feet. I'd say the main feature of it is a short game practice area that's 3,200 square feet. So chipping and putting, all kinds of different lies and grasses in there. So you can really replicate anything you'd see on the golf course. There's 4 practice bays where golfers can be covered and underneath a heater, but you can roll up a garage door and see your ball flight and hit balls out into the practice facility. Our 5th bay is a private bay just for golf instruction and club fitting that focuses on TrackMan launch monitor technology. We've got 4 different video cameras to really videotape your swing and get all kinds of information on what's going on in your game. And then we also have 2 separate simulators that are completely indoors.
And you could simulate actual golf courses.
You can.
It's fantastic.
Yes, it's great. So we've got about 50 golf courses you can simulate. In fact, last week, we've just been open a few weeks now, and last week the PGA Tour was at Bay Hill, and we had members in there playing Bay Hill and simulating golf and watching it on the TV at the same time, so that was kind of neat.
The relationship with Butler, they've been playing at Highland in home matches at Highland for a number of years.
They had. Now, it's been about 4 years where we've hosted their men's and women's collegiate events, and then they've also practiced at the club as well in the spring and fall during their season. So, we're right across the river from them, and it was kind of a natural partnership, and we couldn't be happier with the partnership.
Yeah, and 30 years says one thing: commitment.
Correct.
You also have, we teased the junior golf initiatives, and something else I find really fascinating, a thing that you work with the disabled veterans. So talk about some of those.
Yeah, so the club, in conjunction with the building of the academy, we founded our own foundation, the Highland Golf Academy Foundation, and we've really tried to it's neat as a club to have a mission and try to give back and grow the game in the community. So, our members love golf, so this was a way to give back. We've got 3 areas of focus. First is our First Tee, clinics, which is a national program, been around almost 20 years now, and it's a youth development program. So we've started running those clinics through the academy. Second is a relatively new program called PGA Hope, but it's designed for, we've partnered with the VA here locally, and we're running clinics for disabled veterans here in the community. And we've done that now for a couple weeks. We have 15 veterans that come, and we get to spend some time with and help them hit a few shots and enjoy some time with them.
And then finally, a potential partnership with a local school.
Correct. Yeah, we're also trying to, we're going through the process to identify a local school here in Indianapolis where we can help them start and grow a boys and girls golf program. So we want to use our academy, our membership, and the foundation through equipment, golf instruction, and a place to practice and work on their games. So we're excited to get that started as well, too. So. No,
that's good stuff. Ambitious, visionary, and could be a great boost to the community and help grow the game, all of this. So it's like the entire package. Yeah. Bill Pollard, we appreciate you coming. If people want to find out more about...
yeah, really just to go to our website. Okay. It's highlandgcc.com, and you can learn everything more there.
All right. Let's pray for warm weather, please.
I agree.
Because we like the indoor facility, but we want to be outside, too.
I agree.
Bill Pollard from Highland, thanks for being on. Gary, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Well, coming up, leadership from KSM Location Advisors are here to talk about some of the winners and losers of the 2018 General Assembly, also to look ahead to that special session. There they are in our Inside Indiana Business Social Media Lounge. They'll join me in studio next. Well, Some say it was a chaotic end to the 2018 Indiana General Assembly. Now the governor has called for a special session in May. For some perspective on some of those unresolved issues and big takeaways, perhaps missed opportunities from this session, let's turn now to national site selection firm KSM Location Advisors CEO Tim Cook and President Katie Culp for our Eye on Economic Development segment. And welcome, as always, to the program.
Hi, Gary.
It was a crazy ending to the session, and a number of things did not get done. But as you look at this non-budget writing session, I'll start with you, Tim. Big takeaways.
I thought the big takeaway was the software as a service being exempted from sales tax. That's something that Indiana has been grappling with for several years now. It eliminated a lot of the confusion, and I think because there's so much focus with tech right now, that was a big one for the tech community.
Yeah, and there was some back and forth on the language of that bill, and I think ultimately it passed with the kind of language that the tech community wanted.
It was really good because they had a nice collaboration between government, the Department of Revenue, the tech community, the chamber was very involved in it, and I think it was a win-win for everybody.
Katie, how about you? Big takeaways.
You know, something that garnered a lot of national headlines was this Sunday alcohol sales, and leave it to me to bring that up. But I think it was great because we've had a number of clients who come to town and are like, are you kidding me? This was still a rule. I'd say on the downside, it did garner national headlines, and it pointed out to people who maybe didn't know that that had been a rule still on the books. Right. But hey, we made it over the hill there.
Over the top. And you know, it was viewed as a consumer issue, certainly, but do you think it has the potential to be somewhat of an economic development issue, maybe for what you suggest as that national attention it got?
I think it certainly helps us appear less backwards socially, and so I think everything that we can do to kind of position ourselves as forward-thinking and not so conservative is a good thing, especially as it relates to attracting tech workers and employers. I want to get your perspectives on workforce. Certainly it's a big agenda item for Governor Holcomb, the state chamber. Everybody's talking about workforce. Tim, start with you. 2 bills did make it out. Your take, did these workforce measures, do you think, get to the heart of the challenges Indiana's facing?
I think they set the table for some of those challenges. Obviously, it was a non-budget year, and so a lot of the spending that needs to happen and needs to be approved, that will happen next year. I'm hopeful that this is the start of some real redevelopment of what we're doing with workforce and training and talent.
Katie, as you look at the workforce issue, it's such a big issue that everybody, again, is talking about. It probably is going to take more than one session, and certainly, as you say, a budget writing session to get it done. Your take on the 2 bills that made it through?
You know, I think there's a difference between being busy and being productive, and there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of interest in workforce development, and I really applaud the governor and his team for making it a focal point, and I'm glad that they're being thoughtful about it and not rushing into a solution that might not be the right one. With that said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There are still a lot of silos in workforce development in Indiana, and it can be so effective if done correctly, and so I'm excited to see this next legislative session, not the short session here, but next year, see what happens with that issue.
And you think it's got the legislature's attention, maybe?
I feel like it's something everybody can get behind, don't you agree? I mean, both sides of the table, everybody wants to invest in our workforce and people that have transferable skills and that can help make us more attractive for economic development. How that's implemented gets, you know, kind of viewed through different prisms.
Yeah, and I think one of the keys is what kind of training makes sense for different types of sectors. If you're a manufacturing company, your training needs are different than a tech company. And so as they're making changes to the programs, it's really important to keep that in mind as well.
Mentioned the chaotic end to the session late on a Wednesday night. A number of things did not get done, if you will, before the midnight deadline. Governor Holcomb, indeed, after several days, did call a special session for May. Some folks have criticized that. A lot of people support it. Your take?
Yeah, I think you can talk about the process of how we got there, but there was no doubt they had to come back that they need to come back for a special session. The federal tax reform is going to have a huge impact on the economy, and if Indiana's tax code was out of sync with the federal changes, then that would have been a disaster.
Katie, do you anticipate certainly this tax issue will be one area of focus to be sure? Other people have talked about the Muncie schools situation. There are a couple of other issues as well undone. And folks are saying this needs to be a focused session, a very brief, just get what needs to be done and get it done and move on.
I agree. It's a short session. We've got to be laser focused on these tax issues. It's indisputable that we're a leader when it comes to cost of doing business and our corporate tax climate. So for us not to be responsible about this and fix anything that needs to be straightened up would be a really bad move for our economic development future.
Yeah. Also, in this session, Indiana did not pass, the legislature did not pass hate crime legislation. Indiana remains one of, I think, 5 states that does not have special laws for hate crime. Reaction?
You know, I live in Scienceville that tends to be a little conservative, and a lot of my neighbors, we talk about this type of thing, and there are different views on the issue, but the bottom line, economic development impact is that employers, the Amazons of the world, they are looking at these issues. And when Tim and I get involved in some of these national site selection assignments, one of the first questions now, which is much different than 5 or 10 years ago, is having us take a look at what the social issues, what the social political climate is in different states and metro areas, and this is inevitable that it will rise to the top of the issue when someone's looking at Indiana. So hopefully next year we could maybe tackle this in a more proactive and effective manner.
Yeah, the thing is, any issue that impacts if a company site selects at a certain location or if an individual wants to live here and work here, anything that impacts those decisions, those are economic development issues. And so I think the sooner that we focus on that, in addition to tax climate and business climate, I think it's going to make Indiana even more competitive.
So sooner you think, and they're a little perhaps more difficult to define, but those culture issues, you view them as important issues, the issues that the State House should take a look at.
They're tricky issues, but it's, as Katie mentioned, it's what our clients are talking about, and it's how companies make decisions nowadays.
All right. Well, it was a crazy session, certainly at the end of the 2018 Indiana General Assembly. We've got more coming up with a special session. Tim Cook, Katie Culp, KSM Location Advisors. As always, great perspective. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. And I'll be right back after this. Well, as we wrap up this week, a reminder to subscribe to the Inside Indiana Business podcast, a condensed version of the TV show perfect for the ride to work, the airport, or perhaps that grind on the treadmill. The IIB podcast is free. Search for Inside Indiana Business at your podcast page or follow the links on our social media pages and website. Coming up next week, it's a new co-working and incubator space for those in the home service and construction industry. We'll give you a sneak peek inside Refinery 46. Plus, calling all developers, designers, educators, and students. Startup Weekend Evansville is back. We'll tell you why it's one of the largest in the state. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gary Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.
Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is a production of Grow Indiana Media Ventures with support from WFYI Productions.